Thanks, guys. Well, happy Cyhawk Series week, and welcome into our Week 2 pregame show. Once again, I'm Mary-Kate Herring, and here with me is Zach Mackey. Well, Zach, we're on to Week 2 and Rivalry Week, if you can even call it that anymore. So my first question for you is it still a rivalry?
I think it is because a lot of these guys are from the state. They've played with each other in high school football. They recruit the same guys. They see each other around the state. Their communities buy in. I think you still got yourself quite a rivalry here.
And you can tell just around campus, they're handing out Beat State shirts, and everyone just seems very upbeat, so I agree with you on that. So let's talk about last Saturday quick. What were you most impressed with?
I think it was very impressive, the defense. They didn't allow anybody to get into the end zone. That one field goal, but otherwise it was clean slate throughout. The defense looked really good, even with some guys bumped up in that secondary. And also Nate Stanley did well. Nick Easley obviously caught some huge passes. So there were a lot of bright spots, I think, for Coach Kurt Ferentz.
I agree with you. Noah Fant played very well as well. And Josh Jackson had a great game.
As well.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on to my favorite topic, our quarterback.
Yeah,
so I didn't give Nate Stanley a lot of love lately, but I'm going to now. So Stanley got his first start this past weekend, and you know what? I think he held his own out there. I think once he calmed down, he really took command.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He took command. He's a young guy, like we said, and he was able to step up with 70,000 eyes on him looking down and scored a couple of touchdowns, 3 in fact, and did a good job at leading that crew.
He's going into a pretty hostile environment this weekend. First away game. Do you think that's going to impact his play?
Well, I mean, yeah, like you said, it's your first time now. It's a whole bunch of firsts here early on, and your first time at a real hostile environment there in Iowa State, Jack Trice Stadium. It's going to be electric. There's going to be a lot of people yelling at him. So we'll see if he's able to step up to the call again.
It seems like once he, got things going, he calmed down a bit. So I'm hoping that's the same way for him. I hope he just keeps the nerves, leave him week by week. But let's move on to wideouts now. Matt Vandenberg, he has had 16 receptions for 234 yards and 2 touchdowns in his last 2 meetings with the Cyclones. Do you think we can expect the same from him tomorrow?
Well, I don't think anyone's played better in 2 games than Matt Vandenberg has in those Cyhawk Series games. It's going to be hard to top last year where he had just a phenomenal performance. So, I think Matt Vandenberg's a gamer. He's a guy that shows up in big games and big situations. And, again, it's going to be a huge game there at Jack Trice Stadium, so expect him to have an impact.
His teammates and coaches are definitely agreeing with you, and they are really counting on him this weekend.
Matt Vandenberg, he's a great leader on the team. He's a captain. And every time, he always tuned in and he always lead by example and he's vocal. And he's been working hard along with everybody else. He's been teaching the wide receivers a lot of things. He even taught me a few things.
For sure, he's got a lot of experience in games like this. So I think his demeanor and his attitude that he has preparing for this game is something that I can learn from.
He's a good football player, and when he can go, he goes. And he's got one speed, and he's had that since he got here. He was really skinny when he got here, but he's growing into a adult football player now, and he's a good football player. We're better when he's out there playing for us.
All right, so let's move on to the Iowa defense now. Josie Jewell had a phenomenal day against Wyoming and got some honors this week as well. He had 4, but 2 of them, he was named to Walter Camp National and Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week. He had 14 tackles, which then combined with Bo Bauer's 11 tackles, Ben Neiman's 13 tackles, all made up for a total of 38 tackles just between the 3 of them. Does this just set the tone for what to expect from this linebacking core?
Well, no one played better throughout the entire country than Josie Jewell. I mean, he was electric all over the field, making some really big plays. But that linebacking crew, like you said, totaled for 38 tackles. I mean, if that crew keeps doing that throughout this season, it's going to be a really special year because, again, it all starts up front. That defensive line, those guys were given a lot of credit to their front line, but they were running around making plays, and it looked like that defense was having fun. Who's going to have a tall task with a team that put up 40 points against UNI? Iowa State's been able to score.
And I was really impressed with what they did against Wyoming's offense as well. So I was not expecting that, especially secondary. They played great, and we get Manny back this week.
That's right.
So that's going to be a great addition. But now on Tuesday, a lot of the guys talked about, what this game really means to them, especially the Iowa players.
Yeah, it definitely means a lot to them. Like we said, their communities are buying in. They're from this state. And it even's got to mean a lot to those guys who don't quite live here, who are out of state, because it's the next game on the schedule, and it's a chance to get the second win.
Well, let's take a look at what the guys think about this matchup.
Really just being part of a series like this one, it's such a big deal to everyone in the state. The hype around it and everything, it's really exciting. So
I mean, we grew up with this rivalry in state. But all those out-of-state guys, I mean, just kind of made sure they understand what it's about, what it means, and Coach France does a great job about explaining that to us. And
yeah, there was always that growing up. The state's kind of you got. It depends where you're at in the state, I guess you could say. Some people like a certain team, and some people don't. So I mean, it's always differentiating. You never know who's going to like who, and you've always seen that growing up.
You know, Coach Ferentz always stresses this game. It's a big rivalry game, big trophy game. But, we're just coming out and doing the same thing that we always do, preparing the same way, and just trying to come out and get better every day.
So we talked about this in the beginning. Is this really even a rivalry anymore? And to me, hearing from the players, it obviously still is. Some of these guys have grown up going to Cyhawk series or watching the games on TV. But my favorite story is when Matt Nelson talks about both of his parents going to Iowa State.
It's big. I mean, it's a fight for the state of Iowa. Iowa State's a big rivalry. My parents actually went to Iowa State, so it's kind of raised in an Iowa State household, but I've been converted since. I mean, you've always known Iowa State, now you're nothing but Iowa, so it's a lot of fun, though.
So I think maybe if you're not from Iowa, it may mean a little less, but to these Iowa guys, it's a pretty big weekend.
Yeah, no, it is. It's in-state, their communities buy in, and all eyes are on it. If you're not from Iowa, it's the next game, and it's a chance to go 2-0.
All right, well, it is finally time for everyone's favorite part of the show, prediction time.
And before we get right into that, let's do a quick recap of last week and remember who was right and who was wrong.
All right, so let's go to predictions now here. What do you think is going to happen on Saturday?
I see a Hawkeye win. I really do. I think Nate Stanley is going to be impressive. Excited to see how this defense comes together. Kinnick's going to be rocking again.
I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to go that Iowa's not going to get the win. I hope I'm wrong, but I just think Josh Allen is too hard to stop. I watched him on film, and he's unreal. But I do not foresee a win in Iowa's future.
You heard it here first. Mary Kate.
I called it. I'm probably right because Zach is normally wrong.
Well, there you have it. 1-0, Mary Kate. 0-1 so far. Right now, I'm going to go again with Iowa, and hopefully going to be 2-0 then in my predictions.
All right. I mean, I learned my lesson. Don't bet against Iowa. But I had a good reason for it, so you know what? I mean,
wasn't even close.
I said I hope I'm wrong.
Wasn't even close.
I said I hope I'm wrong. Well, guess what? I'm picking Iowa this week. I do see a win in Iowa's future.
Now
so,
you're piggybacking on what
Oh, God, grow up.
Tune in on Monday for all your Hawkeye updates from the weekend.
And tune in every Friday with me and Zach for our Friday morning pregame show. Guys, back to you.